What Happens in This House, Part 4. The essay started when I was 12, but my sister and my other siblings had experienced other forms of abuse long before that started. I was talking to my sister one time after I told her about the email I sent to our mama, and she said, "You know we were groomed, right?" Before then, that had never even occurred to me, but she was right. He had done several things to us when we were young children. My sister reminded me how he would play with our butts, grabbing and pinching them. And when my breasts started developing at the age of 9, he would grab them and play with them also. He normalized us being touched on our private parts when we were young so that when he started to SA us, it wouldn't feel abnormal or raise any red flags. This also explains why we were isolated from the surrounding community and our peers. We weren't allowed to go to other people's houses, with the exception of one friend who lived on the same street as us. The only children we got to be around on a regular basis outside of school were our cousins. My father was in prison when I was a toddler, and he got out when I was 5 years old. We were living with my grandparents in Sharonton at the time. Within 2 years, we moved to our own home, and he immediately started telling us what happens in this house stays in this house. He also started telling us to never trust the police and that they were not our friends, even if they pretended to be nice. I was only 7 years old. Why did I need to know anything about law enforcement? My sister reminded me about how after we moved to Baldwin, kids in the neighborhood would come over to our house to try to play with us, but he would run them off. Another way he groomed us was by making himself seem as if he was a bigger than life criminal mastermind, and I believe he did that so we would have an appropriate amount of fear for him. He told us all about the people he had killed. He used to brag about how he beat a triple charge in the 70s by using witness intimidation. He would tell us stories about how he would run long cons with his partner from Opelousas, who was passe blonde, and because he looked like white, they were able to easily fool other white people. He would also abuse us physically and verbally. He would hit us with objects like hangers, electric cords, the tilt wand on the blinds, and even a crawfish paddle. I remember even one time he threw a skillet at my head, a cast iron skillet. I got one of the worst beatings ever after he found out that I was eating pork at school and I was only 8 years old. He had the cafeteria workers spying on us for him and asked them to let him know if we ate any pork. And whoever it is that was spying on him, if you see this video, I wish you all the worst things in life ever. I was eating ham for breakfast at school in the mornings. I didn't eat at home. Every morning we'd get a small drop biscuit, a scoop of eggs, and a piece of ham. The biscuits and eggs weren't enough to fill me up, so I started eating the ham. When he found out, he was enraged and acted like I committed the ultimate act of betrayal. He was a Muslim at the time, so it was a really big deal to him. For my punishment for eating the ham, he stripped me naked, tied all four of my limbs down, and beat me with an extension cord. I had welts and cuts on my back, butt, and legs for weeks afterwards. I tell this story because it shows the origins of my fear of him, and it also shows how he used surveillance as a method of control. It made me feel as if there was nowhere I could go and be safe from him. This is going to be important later on in this story because for years I was under constant surveillance and monitoring. I didn't even feel safe writing my thoughts. I had gotten a diary one Christmas with a lock on it when I was 12 years old. I wrote about a boy that I had a crush on in my diary, and there were like a lot of entries about him. So one day, my father braced the lock and he reads my diary in front of me. He proceeded to tease me about my crush for weeks. I felt betrayed and violated, and as if even my most private thoughts wouldn't be safe. So it was best to keep everything inside and to not share them with anyone or write them down. I was a prisoner of my own mind. The essay began with a test when I was 11 and in the sixth grade. Then a year later, when I was 12, he went all the way and it didn't stop until I was 30 years old. One night, he came into my room while I was asleep. He put his hands in my panties and started fondling me. I woke up but didn't open my eyes because I was scared and confused. I was trying to figure out why he was doing that to me. The next day when I went to school, I couldn't concentrate at all. I constantly replayed in my mind what happened the night before. I was trying to figure out for days afterwards. By the time I was 11, I came to the conclusion that telling my mama anything about my father was pointless because she never did anything to protect us from him in the past, so I didn't see this being any different. I thought about telling my teacher or saying something to my friend, but I had been indoctrinated to not say anything about what happened at home, so I kept it to myself. A couple of months passed and it hadn't occurred again, so I assumed that it was a one time thing. I was wrong because a year later he started to SA me and did it for 18 years nonstop.